fascinating too to see her approach. I mean, she goes low, she's aggressive. It's the pedal that.
Good afternoon. This is James Brown, and I'm preparing for my conversation with Dr. Bill Cosgrove, which will start here very shortly. And we're going to talk about the fact that I am about to go into the hospital for surgery on Monday morning for my 9 o'clock appointment. So it's going to be an interesting conversation about the things that's going on, and the doctor is about to join me now. It is not as solemn as my voice is low at this moment, but good afternoon, Dr. Cosgrove. How are you, sir?
I'm great today, James. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. As you notice in the right of my shoulder that I received the badge number 1, voted in by special unknown entities around the globe who said I'm number 1. So welcome to the show today, and thank you for coming on. The last time we talked, there was a lot of levity. It seems that that's what we do when we have a conversation. We have an enjoyable bit of conversation, but I am now 2 days away from recovery, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the preparation that goes into that day. So starting after 9 o'clock tomorrow, I can't eat anything. And I've already been, since the 5th, off of any medication that I've had. And I've been trying to eat gingerly, and I've gone to the store and got a bunch of soups. And I'm going to go get some frozen vegetables because fresh vegetables don't keep long when you're a single man living in the house. You can't eat them all at once, but the frozen vegetables, I can chop a half of it off and keep the other half frozen and cook it for my single meal and that whole bit. But what am I to expect when I check in? I know they've given me some rules, like my 2 young sons are taking me there, and only one can come in with me as they prepare me for anesthesia and surgery. What kinds of things will I face as I enter that particular mode?
Okay. Well, let me just phrase it as anytime you're going to go under the knife, no matter how well prepared you are, you have to expect to be frightened a little bit.
Okay.
And when we're frightened, our thoughts get confused. So first they're going to give you 22 papers and give you 7 seconds to read them and sign them. That gives away all of your rights. Go ahead and sign them. It just says that, all of those permissions are that you are, sound mind, and you give them permission to put you under and make you unconscious and do things to your body. And yes, that's what's coming, but all of these papers are to say that. But it is kind of interesting that they don't give those to you a week before while you're can read them with clarity. They give them to you, 10 minutes before and let you read them in the confusion that's caused by your fear. So that's the simple thing. Then you sign those papers and go ahead and sign them. They're all safe. And
let me interrupt you because it brings to mind, I've given certain individuals full rights to my body, and I never gave them any papers to sign.
I think you have to clarify for me. Did any money change hands here? I think we shouldn't go there, James. Yes, yes, many times in your life, just driving down the road, you give up some of your autonomy to that crazy driver in the next car. And yes, this is a little formality but you've already made the decision. So this is just a formality. So sign the papers, but don't let the papers confuse you because at that moment, you're really not of sound mind, and you just have to know that.
Right.
You've already given them your trust.
Right.
And over the next couple days, you just have to trust that they're going to take good care of you.
Right.
Then then you go through the indignity of getting undressed and getting in a hospital gown, and then they leave you sit there. No matter how well run the organization is, they have you get undressed, and then you're sitting semi-naked in this room with this little covering over you for many minutes, waiting for something to happen when you're already frightened. And I don't know why hospitals do it that way, but they all do it that way, and that's what you can expect.
Right.
Then you'll meet the team. You'll meet the nurse who checks you in, who'll take your vital signs. Then you'll meet the anesthesiologist. Now, the that's a hard word to say. Anesthesiologist is the one whose job it is to keep you alive, no matter what else happens. The surgeon's job is to remove your cancer. The anesthesiologist's job, you're actually putting your life in the hands of the anesthesiologist. They anesthetize you down to where you're not able to protect yourself, and so they have to protect you. So that's the single most important person on the team, more than the surgeon. And probably the surgeon will drop in and say hi, maybe not.
They indicated that would happen. They told me that the anesthesiologist and the surgeon would come in and chat with me for a moment or two.
Yeah.
And I'll interrupt you here because when I had my ankle operated on, they were going in to fuse it, and the anesthesiologist came in and we laughed and talked, and it was good. And I guess he had such a good time with me as he was leaving and they were rolling me out. He said to me, "I'll see you on the other side." And I said, "No, you won't."
There's too much meaning in that sentence.
As they rolled me into the operating room, I turned to the doctor. I said, "I do not wish to have the anesthesiologist in here because he said he would see me on the other side, and I'm not ready for that trip."
Yeah, that's a little heavy, just a little heavy.
Yes.
Then what they do is they move you into the operating room, and you'll help them, or they'll help you. They'll move you from one bed into the other bed, and then they'll tell you, but they'll give you some stuff to breathe, which will make you essentially fall asleep. And after you're asleep, then they will actually do the anesthesia to make you unconscious. When you're asleep, you're still conscious a little bit, but and then what will seem like 2 minutes later, you'll wake up in the recovery room.
Fully recovered and ready to go.
No, kind of in that fog of what happened? Did they already do it? Where am I? Who are these people? Do I need to be scared? Am I in danger or not? I mean, you'll have that kind of confusion.
Right.
And somebody will be there to remind you that, yes, you just had surgery and now you're awake, and yes, you're fine now. And you won't be in pain. you'll have some pain in the days after that, but you won't have pain right then probably.
Right.
And but you'll feel really out of sorts, like groggy and not sure if you're awake or asleep, and just confused.
Right.
And you and I have chatted about, we both like to be in charge. We
Right.
both like to be the driver of the car. We both like to have, if things are dangerous, we'd rather have our hands on the steering wheel than somebody else's. And
Right.
and so it's difficult. It's difficult to put your life in somebody else's hands. It's difficult to accept their help. It's difficult to trust them. Okay. And so, you know, that mixes in with the fear. There's a fear of the surgery and the outcome, but there's also this kind of fear of, but I'm not in charge.
Right.
And so yeah, well, rather than wake you up on the other side, see you on the other side. There's that song of, wake me up when it's all over, when I'm wiser and I'm older.
Right.
Because when you wake up Monday afternoon, you'll be wiser and older.
And better for the better
Yeah.
part of it. And I started the other day, I decided I would call it, it's the first day of recovery, that I'm going into recovery and not necessarily into surgery, but I'm going to go into recovery. You know, it is kind of interesting because you start to reflecting on your life and you start to thinking about all of these things you've done some excellent, and then you've done some piss poor, and the piss poor seems to override the excellent. You want to figure out, you know, my daughter called me this morning, and my grandkids, and I had a chance to talk with all of them, and it was far more an in-depth conversation than I've had in a long time with him. You know, my young grandson, he's playing flute, and we talked about when I was a youngster, I played clarinet and alto sax, and I was in a marching band, and he says, "Wow, that's cool stuff." And I told him, you know, with the flute, you could play the clarinet because the fingering is pretty much the same. So, and I've got an alto sax here that I'm gonna, I don't have the case anymore, but I'm gonna go buy a case and send it to him, my old alto sax, so he can have it and play with it. But it was nice, you know, and he talked to me about, school is a little more harder than it was. I said, well, you know, if you master the difficulty now, when you get back into the classroom, it'll be a whiz, you know?
Mm-hmm.
He said, I never thought about it like that. I said, well, think about it like that. Think about the fortitude and the dedication you put into it now is going to be alleviated when you're back in the classroom, because you're going to be directed by your teacher rather than self-induced direction and discipline. You're going to have the discipline of the teacher, and you'll already be there. And he said, oh, that's good, Grandpa. You know, you're pretty smart. I said, well, you're pretty smart to say that, young man. But it was a nice conversation, and you know, I found myself, and I think you want to make sure you come out of this. And I think that's been one of the heaviest part of my processing all of this is, am I going to survive it? You know, will I have a heart attack? No history of a heart attack, no history of stroke. You know, I've had, what is it, what do you call it? Fibrillations or palpitations, what do you call it?
Palpitations?
Yeah, little flutterings every night.
Okay.
I've been back I had some of those issues, and that's pretty common stuff, you know. But I've been relatively healthy and strong, and I'm blessed with that. But you still think about the fact that you may not wake up. And that's probably the greatest torment of going to sleep and not waking up. And I don't know anybody that's going to sleep, and can tell you anything about what it's like, and that's the story I'm looking for. What is it like when you go to sleep and you don't wake up, and I've sort of stretched that idea a little bit, but it's interesting. I think the other thing that I have concern about is what am I going to do when I come out? I know I have the catheter on until the 20th, 8, 9 days or 7 to 8 days or whatever. And I know that that's going to be an encumbered, not only physically, but it's psychologically, it really says you're not in control. And that's another hard thing to deal with. I'm told that I can't do any heavy lifting. I can't, go jog, can't get on my bike and ride. And there's because that lower extremity of my body is going to be very tender and very sensitive and susceptible to, it has to heal before I start doing all of those things. How severe, you've gone through this surgery, how long did it take you before you got at least minimal or back to normal with your physical situation?
Well, let's talk about the catheter first. And the catheter, they're going to be in for a week, 10 days,
Yes.
Something like that. And so that's kind of a nuisance. They get the tube taped to your leg, and you can still shower and you can take care of yourself. And there's a urine bag that's taped to your ankle that you have to empty whenever it fills up. And that's kind of a nuisance, but it's not uncomfortable. It's not painful. It's just a nuisance.
Right.
And for a few days after the surgery, you're not going to want to be walking around. You're not going to want to be riding a bicycle. You're going to feel like coming out of an illness, that something just knocked you down. And the surgery does that. It just weakens you for a few days, and you'll get your strength back, probably by the end.
Right. We've seemed to be froze here. I don't know if it's your end or my end, but I'm not hearing you, neither are you. We're back.
For the first couple times when you have this sort of accidental leakage, it feels like, whoa, I'm out of control. And it's just that those muscles get weakened and you have to retrain their strength. So, that's another nuisance. But with the depends kind of do, and if you have some leaking, you just swap it out and you keep doing what you want to do. And so you still be able to go to meetings and Zoom things and walk around the kitchen and all of that stuff, without having to worry about leaking. And that's a temporary nuisance, and 2 to 3 weeks, I guess. I don't remember how long it took me before I was sort of in full control. It was a few weeks though, I think 2 or 3 weeks. And I was trying to speed that up by, standing at the toilet and practicing starting and stopping the urine flow to get those muscles as strong as I could, as quick as I could. But nuisance, not painful, not difficult, only your hairdresser knows for sure. It's not like anybody else knows that you're dealing with it. So it isn't very embarrassing either.
Right. I guess the question that I have is, when you came out the hospital, obviously you had your wife there. and I'm living alone, and my ex-wife said if need be, I could come stay at the house. Should I go to the house, or am I fine going back to my singular dwelling?
You are fine to go back to your singular dwelling.
Okay.
And the one thing that I would suggest is that you have somebody to call if, for some reason, something's going wrong.
Right.
You know, you're I don't know, suddenly too weak to get out of bed. You'd like your phone close enough. That's not
Right.
likely to happen, but you want to kind of guard against those things. But you won't need a 24-hour nurse. My wife sort of said, you know, yell if you need something. And then I did all the rest of it because
Right.
she doesn't like to be a nurse, and you know, I'm okay with that. And so, but I didn't need anybody.
Right. And
I mean, it's nice that they offer. It's really nice that they offer. You know, and again, one of the silver lining of this dark cloud is that it reminds everybody from your grandson to your ex-wife that you're a valuable person and they are ready and willing to step up and help you. And that's a rich gift, even if you don't need their help.
You know, and the other day when she offered it, it was like, you know, not many people can say they have an ex-wife who is compassionate and concerned and supportive of her ex-husband, you
Right.
know, and I'm proud that whatever transpired between us was strong enough to keep us connected, even though we separated from a matrimonial relationship. And I'm just proud of her and honored that she was my mate, because I picked the right lady, even though we didn't stay together after 20 some odd years.
Yeah.
And
again, the fact that you have people in your life who are willing to be your nurse,
right.
I don't think you'll need a nurse, but that's a rich gift.
Yes.
That they're willing.
Yes. Yeah. And I am honored and really pleased with that. But I thought that if I'm going to whine, I want to whine by myself. You know what I mean?
And there's that ego thing of you don't want too many people to see you at your weakest.
Exactly. Exactly. It's enough having my two young sons go along with me, and I'm going to have to be macho. I had this videographer call me. He says, "How would you like if we came along with you and videotape?" I said, I don't care. So this production company may follow me to the hospital just to get my reaction. I said, they won't just let me go in peace. They want to record it, you know. And so the guy says, "I'll send you the kind of shots we're looking for." I said, "Okay, do that," you know. So at any point, I think I've got a handle on this. I mean, I understand the seriousness of it. I've talked more about it than I normally or anyone would normally talk about it. I think that that's helped me to bridge my fear, my anxiety, my anticipation, and all in one little scoop. And these conversations with you enable me to show my soft side. I won't say weak side, but my soft side to where I can listen to you and I can hear what you have to say and know that I can get through this and that it's the best thing, you know, because I'm tormented with the fact that I could have waited for another 2 or 3 years, but in the back of that is, what if it continues to blossom? And then when you decide to do it several years later, it's out of control, or it's done more damage than the damage done now, and it's done minimal damage now. It just has a presence. And eradicating that presence stops it from the continual damage that it causes as it grows and it spreads. My connection is really bad. I just was bumped off of the internet. So we probably should try to wrap this up because it seems to be unstable. And I think this is prime time for this building. Everybody's up and active and deciding to do the internet. But I think I've got a handle on it. I'm going to call you Monday when I get to the hospital. And I don't have much fear. The unknown factor is always fearful, but I'm really comfortable with the fact. And I think when I come out, we'll talk about what my diet needs to be, what kinds of foods I should eat, you know, stay away from the heavy physical movement, but think about the subliminal or the small doses of exercise you can do to gradually get yourself back up. And like you said earlier, practice going to the restroom and urinating just to put that push into it. And that way you start exercising that area and those things so you can be prepared. The other thing, I guess, that I was concerned with, how much pain? I know they're going to give me some pain. Will I walk out of the hospital with those pain pills, or do I need to go to the pharmacist and get it, or will they supply me with a bottle or whatever it is?
They will probably give you a few days worth of pain medicines from the pharmacy in the hospital.
Okay.
And you'll have some discomfort, but it's more discomfort than pain.
Okay.
So you'll probably need a day's worth, 2 days worth, and then you're going to be fine.
Right.
And one of the things, again, in feeling in control, you'll probably want to be off the pain medicines, the strong pain medicines soon, so you're back in control.
Right.
So you don't have that sort of groggy, out of it feeling.
Right.
And I, my memory, I don't remember actually much pain.
Right.
It was 10 years ago and I probably suppressed it, but I don't remember worrying about the pain, and I don't remember worrying about the next dose or, feeling like I needed it. So
Right.
I do remember discomfort, especially when I was walking around. I was walking kind of carefully because I remember discomfort when I was walking around. And I do remember being sort of groggy for days, just
Right.
getting over the weakness part, but I don't remember a lot of pain.
Right. And I talked with a gentleman who was a month or two out of surgery, and he indicated that he had a bout that it was painful, but then I don't know what he was trying to do that caused that. And I think overexerting yourself and overactivity and trying to do things that you know how to do that you shouldn't be doing. So laying in bed is going to be my objective after surgery. Obviously, having to get up and that strain from a prone position to an upright position is going to strain that lower cavity or that lower part of my body. Trying to sit up pulls a lot of things, right?
I don't think you're going to have trouble, but I would suggest that you practice, today or tomorrow, a couple times of the way to get out of bed when your back hurts or your belly hurts is that you sidle over and then keep your feet together and let your feet pull you into a sitting position. I don't know if I'm diagramming that right. So you've got your feet together,
Right.
and you let your feet drop over the bed as it pulls your body up.
Okay.
And practice that a few times, because that, I don't think you're going to have trouble with that, but you might. And a little bit of practice will make it a whole lot easier.
Right. I was thinking that I could put a tall chair in my bedroom with the back of the chair next to the bed so that I could lean on it to stand up, and it would give me another point of support to move it from my lower extremities to my upper extremities as a catalyst to move me about.
I think that's a good idea. I don't know if you'll need it, but I think it probably is a good idea to just have it there
Right,
in case.
right. Okay. Hey, well, I do appreciate having this conversation with you. As always, it's a joy, and I'm going to read all of this literature I've got pre-surgery, and I was going to talk a little bit, and I think I will, about why people with cancer are susceptible to COVID. And I would assume it's because their immune system is already embattled with fighting off this thing that is constantly doing something inside of them. And then this new germ or virus is coming in and trying to move all of that aside and take prominence inside the body. Therefore, it weakens your whole immune system, and you are now more susceptible to the virus. Is that a pretty good analogy?
That's a pretty good analogy. Let me phrase it a slightly different way. You can think of your immune system as the police force that is protecting every cell in your body.
Right.
And whether or not you've got a germ, an invader coming in, or you've got a rogue group of cells, cancer, it's that police force's job to eradicate it.
Right.
And the fact that this cancer has been allowed to grow means that your police force has been worn down over time. So it isn't protecting you as well as it should against cancers, internal invaders. And so it tells us that you're more likely to be susceptible to external invaders too. And this week here in Utah, 1 out of 160 of us is contagious for COVID.
Gee.
Half of the people who are contagious don't know it yet. So, just to kind of think about that, when you're in a group or a hospital or a place where there's 40 people, well, the chances are 1 in 4 that somebody in that 40 people has coronavirus.
Right.
So that you start thinking about, wait a minute, this is getting down like roulette here. And so that's why we don't hang out in restaurants full of 60 people, or, and why in the hospital they'll keep very few people in any given area at any one time, just to lessen the odds.
Right.
But, hospitals are safe places. They're set up to protect you. But also all, the sickest of the sick go to the hospital. So you have to kind of realize, don't touch anything and wash your hands a lot.
Right.
And, because just the door handle and the banisters are more likely to be infected in the hospital, even though they wash them more often than at your house.
Right. So I was going to wear gloves in and be but latex gloves tell me that's not much protection.
The thing is with a glove, you don't notice as much as if you touch something. So if you put your hand down on the desk and then you touch your face, well, you've already done the damage, and the glove didn't protect you. It protected your hand, but it didn't protect you.
Right.
And so not wearing gloves so you notice what you touch, and having hand sanitizer right there all the time to say, I touched something, I got to take care of that. That's going to be better protection than the gloves.
Right. Well, I'm going to take my own hand sanitizer with me, and I'll have that next to me, and we'll go from there. Hey, I will reach out to you Monday as I'm going down, and God bless you and thank you. And when I come out, we're going to rock and roll and turn Living and Aging with Pride into one of America's greatest gifts, a television show that reaches out to help people on a continual basis. God bless you and thank you for your insight, your friendship, your kindness, and your knowledge has just been absolutely wonderful. Thank you so much, sir. You have a great evening, and God bless you.
You too, James. Be well.
Thank you, ma'am.